jazz hands. Let's see the jazz hands, Trae. Come on with the jazz hands. There you go. CloverTac doing jazz hands. Trae from Aries Firearms Training doing jazz hands. We are live. I hope you got your big girl panties on. Hopefully not the NRA branded made in China big girl panties. Actually, they don't have big girl panties. Okay, they don't. You know, we're going to talk about that. This is episode 289 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. We're going to talk about the NRA screwed us and now they're imploding. Do we even give a crap about what's happening to them, that they're all falling apart over there? That plus we've got CloverTac. Look, there he goes. Boom. CloverTac is in the building. And of course, we've got Trae from Aries Firearms in the building. There you go. Hanging out with the fish tank, and you guys are here as well. So please smash the thumbs, share the videos, all that kind of good stuff. I'll try to go through here and shout people out in a second. But have you guys heard this news from the NRA? Clover, have you heard about this?
Talking about the NRA TV thing?
Yeah.
No, this is the first time I've heard. It's not surprising, but yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, and I haven't told people about this either. So NRA TV apparently has a bunch of layoffs going on right now. Let me see if I could share this in the chat just for you folks out there to see. But there's a lot of other stuff going on with NRA, so I'm sure you've heard about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any opinions on that?
You reap what you sow, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds pretty common. Listen, I don't know, man. There's so many things to be mad at the NRA about right now. Trae, are you following up on all this stuff? Can't hear you at all, Trae. Is he muted? Okay, Trae must be muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn it up. Turn it.
You're muted, Trae. You're muted somehow. And I definitely didn't mute you, so. Okay, now, hit it again. Okay, so if your audio is not working, Trae, your microphone's not plugged in or something's going on over there. All right, we'll let Trae sort that out. Lots of stuff going on with the NRA. In my opinion, the big thing that's hitting is that the Trump administration is going to announce their bump stock ban. And that was asked for by the NRA, right?
Yeah.
They opened the door for him to do that. It's been going on for a while. I think we started hearing about it again yesterday. It's yesterday I was pretty really thrown off by it, even though obviously we all kind of expected this to happen. But then when it was like news yesterday, it kind of threw me off. Now I'm just mad.
Yeah, because we made it through the elections, right? So
yeah, isn't that what they promised us? Oh, midterms, we'll do all that stuff that we promised you guys that made you vote for us. So
going to be interesting to see what the language, what's going on, that sort of thing with it before we get too crazy.
I don't like anything going on with it. To me, it doesn't matter with the language. So I know what you're saying. Like the language may only be specifically to bump stocks. I think that's nonsense. I don't think that's right. And they looked at bump stocks twice. So I think that if they're now able to reverse stuff that they've looked at before, that's going to set a really bad precedence and they can reverse anything.
Well, and remember something else. Remember that this is being done at an executive level. And we do have the Supreme Court. I don't know if you've been watching anything that's been going on there lately, but it's pretty impressive to see some of the stuff that the Supreme Court's taking on and some of their amicus briefs and other things they're putting out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you've seen good things from the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I mean they're the biggest one. I don't know if you've seen it with Apple and the guys that were suing Apple over the App Store. Yeah, it was pretty good. They're back. Basically, they're back in capitalism, right? Which is great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you think that affects us being in the Second Amendment community? Because I think the Supreme Court's been ignoring us.
I don't think they've been ignoring us. I just don't think they've had. Well, take that back. Prior to Gorsuch getting on the court, yeah, they pretty much ignored the cases. But most people have to understand that there's a process involved that gets things to the Supreme Court. And that's the beauty of people wanted to talk about, well, it wasn't a blue wave, but Democrats won the House. Well, here's the thing. We not only kept, but like I'm a part of these yahoos. The Republicans not only kept, but they added to the Senate. So for the next couple of years anyway, we pretty much appoint any judge up and down the pipeline that we want. And I'm saying we again. God, I got to quit doing that. Unless I plan on running for office or something. Anyway, so up and down the pipeline is where it matters, because that's what puts the things in play to get it or not get it to the Supreme Court. Right? Okay. Is a consistency. If you've got ones down there that disagree, then that's where the issue is. So we need, another court to disagree, and then it get kicked up, and then the Supreme Court at this point, I think, hear it, because we've definitely got a conservative leaning, a pro-second leaning, a capitalistic leaning court right now. It's nice.
You think so? Okay. I'm not sure that I agree with that when it comes to Second Amendment stuff. And I know that, okay, they've got the Senate, but they still have to negotiate things with Congress. So that's going to make it a little complicated. And of course, obviously, from what we're seeing from Trump wants to put in gun control.
I think Trump is weird. You can't count on Trump for anything. I think he wants to do whatever's popular at the time, according to whoever's telling them that's popular. And I think we knew that going in with Trump. At least if you didn't, I don't know, maybe if you had your head in the sand, you knew that. I mean, he was definitely the better of the two options, I think, but because at least we had a chance with Trump, right? And we know we wouldn't have had that with Clinton. But depending on who he's sitting in front of at any given time, and he's gonna cater to that person and want to make that person happy, or whatever, look good in that person's eyes, I guess. And so the thing with Congress, yes, I mean the House comes into no play really when you deal with federal level judges, but there's going to be gridlock. Get ready. I don't see any gun control for 2 years. But I don't see any pro movement either, as far as legislation.
Right. So you're saying you don't see any gun control going into effect in the next 2 years?
I think we make gun control out to be a much bigger issue federally than what it actually is. I think the immigration issue takes precedent nationally, much more than the Second Amendment issue, and there's several other ones I believe too.
In terms of polling, people are looking at that more.
Yeah, but then who are the politicians going to cater to? They're going to cater to, regardless of whether the polls are seldom correct, it seems like, but the politicians still, they seem to cater to those polls. So they're gonna be working on that stuff. I'm not going to say bills aren't going to come out. I'm not going to say that, and I say come out. They've got, make no mistake, the Congress has got bills for many, many years that have sat in drawers just waiting for the opportunity to come out. And they bring them out, they dust them off, they change a little bit of language. And, so-and-so wrote a new bill in the last 2 days. No, they didn't. They were prepared for this a decade ago. So don't think that they're not going to come out, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere. And sadly, that's it's going to be more than that is what I'm getting at. I don't think that you're going to have an issue to where even potentially good things are going to get through. I think we're looking at gridlock. I mean, major gridlock when you're talking budgets and spending and being able to pay whatever federal employees, especially the military and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a tough couple of years.
Okay. I'm not sure I would agree with everything that you're saying, so we could probably start there. I think we can hear you. What's up, Trae? I think there's a lot of things to unpack inside of all of that. So I know I'm seeing where people are coming down on immigration, and I'm not saying to me that that's unimportant. I think it is important, but that's a kind of a situation that there's people in America that are in charge of that. Okay. There's people, if you can either decide that we have borders or we don't have borders, and you could decide to let people go over those borders. I think that's a completely separate issue from the Second Amendment. I think I would agree with you that a lot of people in America don't really care about the Second Amendment that much. They're not looking at it. There's a lot of people, including gun people, that don't think a bump stock ban is a big deal, especially if it's specifically only geared towards what technically a bump stock is. There's people that think that doesn't mean anything. I don't believe that we're going to get gridlock when it comes to the Second Amendment. I think that's a very easy thing for those guys to negotiate. And there may be gridlock in other things, but when it comes to that, they're going to go, oh, well, let's just do this because we could see a way of agreeing on this, and giving room on this is going to give us political and media victories. That's exactly what I'm talking about, is exactly what happened here in Florida. Florida's run by Republicans, and Republicans put gun control in effect in Florida. So how did that happen? And to believe that even though we've got like a majority in the Senate, that those same people, including the governor of Florida that went on to become a senator, are going to go, no, we're not going to mess with the Second Amendment or do any gun control stuff. I just don't think that's true. And I think that they also see that people really aren't fired up about that like they were before. So, are you having it looks like you're blurring over there, man. What's going on with you?
Yeah, they keep saying out there I'm blurry, and I don't know if that's my internet or.
Okay.
I like when you're blurry.
Yeah, it's a lot better for those looking at me.
10 times more handsome. Is that
right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. I like it when it zooms in on your beard.
I'm a superhero. They call me
There you go.
So.
The blur. What do you think about all this, Trae? I don't know if you're listening to our conversation.
I cut in at immigration, but then I got more into Second Amendment. I mean, I'm involved with a lot of Second Amendment people, but I also have friends that are not 2A. And, my one friend, he has machine guns and silencers, and he's like, oh, they'll never take it. They'll never get rid of the Second Amendment. I said, well, yeah, but they can restrict a lot of things like ammunition or bump stocks, things like that. I mean, so it does say shall not infringe. It doesn't say kind of infringe or partially infringe. I mean, I saw a thing with, I always forget he's either the New York mayor or New York governor, but he was talking about 10-round mags. No one needs 10-round mags for hunting. No one needs 10. Everybody's clapping. That's not why we have 10-round mags. There is a 4-round capacity for hunting. The high capacities for guys like you are trying to take our guns so we can protect ourselves, our families, our freedoms, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, we're a unique country in the world, and it's not because we're unique because we let in a bunch of immigrants or anything like that. We're unique because we have the capability to protect ourselves and to keep the government from influencing our lives. And I think that's a very important thing.
Okay. I don't know if you want to respond to that at all, Clover.
I'm not blurry anymore, but
oh.
No, I mean that's yeah. I mean, I hear what he's saying.
I think, listen, I agree with you, right? It says shall not be infringed. Well, I don't know if you've been looking at what's going on lately. There's been a hell of a lot of infringement.
Oh yeah.
So like we could say things, but saying things doesn't guarantee something. I don't think you need the piece of paper in the first place. I think you're born with the right to defend yourself. Everyone around the world should have the ability to defend themselves, okay, against people that want to take things from them, whether it's the government or just a guy in the street that wants to take what you've worked really hard for. The thing about it is that we do need the Second Amendment. We need laws to enforce that. And then we need to keep fighting for those things, because very slowly they will be eroded. And especially when those things go slowly over time, people don't even realize that they have those rights. And when they turn around, it's like, oh, there was this myth that there was something called the Second Amendment and we could do things. They're like,
remember back when? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. Like I saw one thing where this guy was in, I don't remember, Massachusetts, Connecticut, whatever, and he was cutting his AR-15 in half because I don't want anybody to get hurt with my AR-15. Okay, are you going to shoot somebody? I mean, the gun, it's an inanimate object. You can run somebody over with a car too. Are you going to chop your car in half? You stab somebody to death with a kitchen knife, you're gonna just melt all your kitchen knives. I mean, this is the idiocracy of that side, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable how how idiotic it is. It's yours. You
The
have it.
masses are
Don't hurt
easy to
anybody.
program. That the problem with that is that the masses are easy to program.
Yes.
They're easy to program. I think he was triggered by the school shooting, and
Yes.
he thinks that somehow cutting one AR-15 in half is going to do something. Well, like you said, man, there's so many things that you can use, including your hands,
Yeah.
to kill people. Lots of people are beaten to death with hammers. I think way more than guns. You know, between hammers, knives, choked to death, poisoned, all the different things that we have, things that happen in car accidents. Let's not even talk about abortions, my friend. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
whole
Don't get
other,
me started on abortions. All the
yeah,
kids that are killed by abortions.
absolutely. That's a whole other thing that we can get into. And if these people really care about children, then why wouldn't they make abortions illegal? Why wouldn't there be something called abortion control?
It doesn't fit their narrative.
No. So I think, yes, absolutely, that happens to people. I think a lot of people fall into that category of just seeing that stuff. And that's why these guys are getting away with it. And that's why we depend on organizations, you know, the NRA, for example, to, like, we give them money, we support them, right? Not just like with our memberships, when they need money, when we see things going on, we give them money, we support them. They're supposed to go out there and fight these things and stand up and keep on top of all of this. And then when we're needed, say, hey guys, you got to get in touch with these guys and make this kind of stuff happen. But what they've been doing over the years is just taking the money, you know, just looting the coffers.
Here's the thing, Hank. That's I get you, brother. I feel you. But that's an illusion. If you are working off of the premise that the NRA at some point put the Second Amendment or our rights over the money and the connections within politics, then you've got a very jaded perception of the NRA. Because the NRA, long before Christian Guest out there in the chat was talking about, well, they've been infringing on the Second Amendment since 1934. No, sir, they've been infringing on the Second Amendment long before 1934. And
yeah, that's
NRA,
correct.
Even before the NRA was the NRA was infringing on the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did that ILA split, that's when it got bad, because you had the foundational arm of the NRA that educates the populace on these are tools. These are
Gun safety. That's what the NRA was originally founded based on.
Inanimate objects like anything else. They're they can be sporting equipment. They can be, hunting equipment, whatever it might be, right? It's not just a, self-defense type thing, and broaden people's minds. We want to talk. We pigeonhole ourselves a lot of times into talking about defense and self-defense and everything else. Okay. I'm not the biggest trainer. I don't go out and seek out trainings and roll around on the ground and act all tactical. Like, I care less. I'm more of a competition based guy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do that, that's great. Okay. You have to broaden people's perspective on the use of firearms. It's a multifaceted thing that can be used for various things, right? And the NRA used to do that. They used to say, hey, this is just like a baseball bat or what anything else, right? When they made that split, then it got to where the right arm, in a sense, became stronger than the left arm, because the right arm was able to whip everybody up and make all the money.
Yeah.
Right? At that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at no point have they ever been. They were stripping the first reverse of constitutional carry amongst, it was 6 or 7 states. I can't remember now. Back in and Trae may know, or somebody out there in the chat, but it was back in the early 1900s. That was pushed by the predecessor, basically, of what we know as the NFA now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Listen, I agree with you, and I think you've been looking at this longer than I have, right? Obviously, obviously, I know as long as I've been looking at it, I've never operated under the premise that the NRA or politicians, Republicans or conservatives, or people who tell me that they believe in the Second Amendment are on my side. I've never operated like that. I've tried to talk to those people, learn from them, work with them. I've tried to give them a chance. I've tried to support them and all that kind of stuff. What I've found out every single time is those people are actually working against me. When I first got into making YouTube videos and I went to SHOT Show, I think that's about 6 years ago at this point. I've told people this story before. We went to SHOT Show. There was this big meeting at SHOT Show, and I didn't go to it. There was one of these writers, because at that time the magazine writers were big, right? So there was this magazine writer, and he went to it, and I asked him, I said, what was this big meeting about? And he said, oh, it's about you guys, you YouTube guys. And I said, well, what about us? And it was a meeting with all these writers and the NRA and the SHOT Show people. And he said, the NRA is trying to figure out how to control you guys. They want to figure out what to do about you. You know, I can hear that in the background.
Do the right effing.
I can't hear nothing.
That's how you control us. Do what's right. Protect the Second Amendment. It's that simple.
Yeah. What do they need to control?
Are you listening?
The NRA is going to follow us.
I'm gonna grab you by the ears and I'm going to shake you. NRA, are you listening to us creators out here? Just protect the Second Amendment. That's all you have to do. And we're like putty in your hands at that point. Just that's all you have to do. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Now, shortly after that, I don't know. Someone will have to tell me if the NRA TV existed before that, because I think shortly after that is when they put that whole thing together, in my opinion. And then all of a sudden, you had a bunch of like really cool gun guys, but they were working with the NRA. And you know that whole thing is unfolded. Everyone could look at that. I'm not trying to knock any of those people. I don't blame them for doing anything that they're doing. What I've always seen is that the NRA went about figuring out how to control the message, and I've seen that. I've seen that continuously from them. When you were talking about the elections when we started this, in the election, they just picked Trump. So you said, well, we had to pick between Hillary and Trump. And the thing that happened is they chose Trump. There were other people in the field. They were like, no, this is the guy. We're going to go for this guy. And then a lot of people got behind that. Okay. Like, oh, yeah, this is the guy who's going to fight for the guns and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure what that was all about. I'm not sure how they figured that one out.
I never bought into Trump was going to fight for the guns. First of all,
I never bought into that either, but I didn't think he was going to go after us either.
Different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah. I think he appeals to the FUDs. I think he appeals to the FUDs within the NRA.
But let's be intellectually honest here about that. Do you think anybody else had a prayer of beating Hillary?
I think, listen, I'm not going to knock what Trump did. I'm not going to knock it. I get it. I fully understand what he did. I'm a New Yorker myself. I understand what he did. You know, it's almost like one of those movies out there, Brewster's Millions or whatever. You know, he just said, fuck it. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. When he got elected, I was there. I was watching. I voted for him. I'm not fretting about anything, right? I voted for him and I watched his face. He was like, what? Did these people actually elect me? I think we had a perfect storm. I think he went out there and he said what he had to say. There were people out there that wanted kind of like the anarchy thing.
I think if he was
at the same time, hold on one second, Trae. I'm going to let you get. I just want to get this out. I think at the same time, no one wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton. No one. There's lots of diehard liberals that were like, we don't want to fucking vote for her no matter what. So I'm sorry, Trae. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, you're correct. My liberal friends were telling me, what do you think about Hillary? When they were dealing with Hillary and not Sanders. I'm tired. Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And they go, I don't think we can vote for Hillary. She's so dirty. And I said, well, Hillary's very dirty because I talked about some other things.
But we saw what they did to Sanders, though. I'm not saying we saw that they basically like put Sanders' campaign to an end. He should have been the guy that went up on that end.
Pretty much.
And the kind of the reverse thing happened with Trump, I think. I think that the Republican Party either wanted to lose, okay, and have an excuse of why they were, because I don't think there's a difference really between the Republican or Democratic Party, in my personal opinion. But I think they either wanted to lose or they did not want Trump to be the nominee. And when he became the nominee, they did not want to support him, which made some of us support him even more. We're like, oh, if the Republicans hate him, You know, but
yeah,
I can tell they didn't actually support him in what he did. They're not supporting him in the White House now. That's where a lot of this stuff is coming from.
he's an anomaly. Think about it. We have a non-political based person that is running our country.
What I think is, I think that the Republicans and Democrats got together a long time ago, and they run this country.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, and they just give us the illusion that, oh, there's a difference between the red pill or the blue pill.
Nope, I agree with that.
You know, and I think that's unfortunately what we're dealing with here. You know, when we're going up against all this stuff, that these guys really don't care. It doesn't matter. And I think when it comes to the NRA, all the things that we're seeing, if you read that article, what's it? Layoffs hit NRA TV after gun rights group loses $55 million in revenue. There's been other stories over the last couple of days of the big executives over there mismanaging, misusing the money, still balling out, flying around in private jets and limos and stuff like that. And then obviously they've lost our support. Obviously, I'm not going to deny the fact that there's activists, governors and companies and all that trying to choke them off at the same time. It might have been easier for them if we didn't realize what they're up to. Or if we didn't start waking up and going, wow, these guys are just, like you said, Clover, they might have been doing this all the time, but what they've been doing lately has been very blatant.
Well, everybody up until the split of the, at least up until the split with the NRA and the ILA, that's what I was getting at. The good done by the NRA as far as the training and the certification process,
Yes.
the awareness and the advocacy, not the fighting legislation, paying
Yes.
politicians and lining their pocket aspect of things, the actual on the ground stuff that changes society, that improves society, and does everything from a ground up level. The NRA was great at that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Lola actually
split,
right.
the focus went into politics.
Right.
It's not about all of that anymore, and that's the problem.
Lola wanted us to make the definition. What's the difference between the NRA and the ILA?
Okay, so the NRA, you hear NRA, so what you have is you have two divisions of the NRA. You have, and they're literally in the building separate. They're actually on two different floors. You have the training department, which trains, educates, does all their training stuff. They help people with questions about guns, etc., etc. They are the training division. Then the ILA is actually the political arm of the NRA. They go after the lawsuits. Hey, you know, this politician's got an A+ or negative or whatever. That's the ILA. They're actually two different, completely separated divisions, and I don't even think they actually intermix at all. When I went through training council, they're literally on two separate floors in the building.
Okay. I know that was a Freudian slip, but I kind of like it. You said pillowtician.
That's a southern. That's what southern gibberish.
Yeah. That, and let me shout out that guy's wife and all the other. I know I was supposed to shout out the folks out there, and I kind of missed that because we jumped in. So my bad on that one. But shout out to that guy's wife and all the ladies out there and the dudes as well. Shout out to the dudes too. If you guys need like a specific shout out, let us know.
That's why there's like 15 thumbs down right now. You didn't shout it.
Yeah, probably it did. Okay, so do you agree with that definition there, Clover?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
yeah.
And Clover's right. Originally, NRA was okay. So what happened is we had a lot of back in the day, and I forgot the exact date because I haven't been tracking it for a while. But you had a lot of gun accidents, and there was no standard for handling a gun. Everybody just said, "I got a gun. I got a gun." The NRA came in and said, hey, we're going to design these rules. Finger off the trigger, firearm point in safe direction, et cetera, et cetera. And it actually curved gun acts. I don't ever call it, they're negligent discharge. I don't call them accidental discharge because you pulled the trigger. It went off. It just didn't go off the way you wanted. They were a massive change for that. Now, I don't disagree with you guys when you're talking about the ILA. I don't have as much to do with that version as I do with the training. But I mean, I hate to say it, it's almost like being a part of the unions. The unions are massive, and they can come in and say, all right, GM or whoever they're dealing with, we're this big union, and we need changes to this, we need changes to that. They are very similar to that in nature, but they don't always, they kind of follow their own. What happened with the union? They just started doing whatever they wanted to. We do need representation. We cannot be individuals going, hey, we're going to attack the government. I don't have enough money, but I do with 5 million other people have enough money to as an extension of my arm through the NRA or Guns of America. I'm in all these organizations, all of them. I go on and I pay my dues every year. I'm a part of all these different Guns of America. I love Guns of America. Why not? The guy that was doing the
Cyrus
bump stocks, I
308.
donated to him. We need to band together and support each other.
Right.
That's why I tell people, don't talk bad about each other because we got enough enemies. We don't need more. We need less. So go ahead, Penny.
So here's Cyrus 308 says the Second Amendment Foundation is where you want your dollars going. I agree with the GOA as well. Here's the thing. This is not, in my opinion, about talking bad. This is about, we are in a brave new world. Okay, this is a different world that we're living in today from the one that everyone here on this panel and most people out there were born into. We're living in a different world today. That's why I went back to that story about what happened when I first went to SHOT Show and they were having this meeting to figure out how to control us. We're all living this. Clover, right now, you said you're not able to broadcast on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I'm still on timeout. Yeah.
And so look at the situation that we're looking at. Here we are all these years later. You know, YouTube is they're just making up rules and doing whatever they want to do to us about whatever they want, right? And limiting what we're doing. And these guys then had the opportunity, and every year after that and every day after that, not just the NRA, lots of big companies and all that in this whole industry, okay, have the opportunity to do something about this, and everyone's sitting on the fence. What the NRA did was just make up their own thing. So one of the news things here is this NRA TV thing. NRA's been in the news now for, I think, actually a couple of weeks, but and actually more than that, for a few months, right? But this is the thing. This is where it gets choked off. When our voices get closed out, that's where we all lose. But none of these places have done anything about it. They never said, you know what, this is crazy. How come all these guys can't say what they have to say? They're on YouTube. YouTube doesn't mess with them. They give YouTube advertising money. They're able to advertise. They have NRA TV. They have these people who speak for them. They're able to control that. That's what they want. They have no interest in us and us being able to say what we want about politics, guns, and all that kind of stuff. They don't care if we disappear tomorrow. I know this for a fact. When YouTube was deleting people's channels and all that, there were people trying to talk to the NRA and get them to do something. It was all bullshit. And in the end, what they do, maybe they meet with the big YouTubers and they go, okay, what can we do for you guys? You know, because their whole mission is to get everyone under control.
You get another.
Well, and this is what.
Yeah.
Go ahead, CloverTac.
I'm sorry. They talk to them and do what they got to do to try to get another membership or another million memberships or whatever.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but remember, it is a business too. I mean, you know, we have to. I'm not disagreeing with you on it, but I do have to say that they fall behind really fast. I don't know why, because I'd been complaining about they have no concealed carry classes, 0. They just finally got one a year ago. And I've been whining about that for years. Like, you guys could do a partial concealed weapons class, and then the person could come in and do the rest of the state law. You can make a little bit of money on it, help people out. They get materials, all the things they need to do.
Trae, sure. I disagree with you on them being a business.
I'm not sure.
No. I mean,
part of the falling behind part, and you're talking about the NRA arm, correct?
Yeah.
Part of the falling behind is if you go back and you look at their numbers, it's obvious. And I'm not surprised by mismanagement of funds and other things with executives. And here's why. You go back and you look at that split and you look at the NRA arm since then, it's almost as if money has been perpetually siphoned from that arm. So I don't think the funding is there like it used to be to do what they used to do. When's the last time anybody out there seen Eddie Eagle anywhere at any event?
I do Eddie Eagle, and I seen one at Target in our area.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Who does that?
What's that?
Who organizes that? Do you know?
My wife does, and my friend, she did the one at the Target here locally.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
But I didn't know anything about it until we started doing research to find out about it.
Well, I'm talking, but you guys did that event, correct?
One was us, and another one was actually at a Target, and they did the Eddie Eagle there. They actually had Eddie Eagle come out.
Okay. So they did. You reached out to them and they said,
I think they've been trying to
they did it on their own. I did not talk to them. I just saw it. And I'm like, oh, y'all are doing Eddie Eagle. How sweet is that? But you're absolutely right. Where's Boy Scouts of America? Where are they doing all this other stuff? They become more political. And, I mean, I hate to say it, fear drives the machine. I mean, fear drives both sides of the machine.
That's why I'm saying I don't think they're not a business. They're not registered as a business. They're not, I'm not saying they're not in it for the money. Hell's yeah, they're in it for the money.
Well,
and I get
that's
that.
what I was going at there, Hank.
Yeah.
Money's money.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I'm not knocking that. We all need money, but they're not really there to solve any problems, just like politicians.
Other than equity, financial firms or businesses, 501(c)s are the most money making machines out there.
Hey, I was a 501(c).
Okay, Lola's telling me that I skipped over this, so I want to give you a chance because I know that since you're not able to go live, Clover, not everyone out there in the world knows exactly what happened. So tell us what happened to you with YouTube.
Well, I did. We were doing 4 live streams a week, second only to the fabulous Hank Strange with his 5 nights a week. Beat there.
Maybe I made a phone call. No, I didn't.
But no, we were doing 4 a week, and each one was individually had a theme about it, what have you. The Thursday night show was after hours. It was what we called the nerd chat. So we got on there, brought other creators in, brought people in from the blogging world, from Instagram, whatever it might be. A lot of times, and we talked about the tech. We talked about the tech. We talked about the policies that we need to follow, how to better beat the algorithms and work with search engine optimization, and just all kinds of nerdy stuff that I know people out there probably don't care about the specifics. Anyway,
very important, the backbone, though.
We did it was a very popular show, at least amongst the creators in the circle there. Anyway, got a strike on one of those. That was a show talking about how to sign up for a podcasting host, to convert your show over to podcast, and you actually used a feature. It was called a bulk upload feature that they offered on the service that I use, where you could take those, upload them all at once, and then schedule them out. And you didn't have to worry about, every time you did a show, you could go like a month behind and set everything up. So that was what the show and the topic.
So it was 100% not about guns.
It had nothing to do other than we were all gun content creators, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that something about guns didn't come up during that whole conversation, but no, I mean, it was about the facilitation of a podcast, essentially. And got a strike on it. Not immediately. It's not like we went live and went off air. It was a couple of months old or something like that. And then just out of the blue, all of a sudden, bam, get an email. It's got a strike. And appealed it. Well, actually, I waited for the proper emails. It's always important to not act in haste with YouTube. And I got the email and it said it's been pulled. It was illegal activity. I said, well, crap. Okay, I had some links. I had some other things. Well, here's the beautiful thing about putting your stuff over on Gunstreamer. Go Gunstreamer, by the way.
Hells yeah. Shout out to Gunstreamer.
Is you suck all that over the Gunstreamer. Well, all your video's there. All your stuff is there. The description's there. The tags are there. It pulls everything over, right? So I can go into research mode. It's like, okay, they're accusing me of illegal activity. Let me go over to Gunstreamer, pull that video up, look at the metadata, look at the tags, and figure out if I did something wrong. So I go over there, I look at the links and the other things. It's all for buying software and buying the package for the podcast hosting. There's nothing in there. I kind of scanned through the video a little bit, nothing there. I think there's some guys even out in their chat. I think Richard Hughes and some of the other ones that we even went over there and took a look because they was curious. And really couldn't figure out anything. So at that point, I appealed. And I hate the appeal process. It sucks. First of all, I'm not convinced that human eyes get laid on that thing or human ears get laid on that. I'm not real sure it doesn't go through another AI algorithmic process. But anyway, with the appeal process, if you've ever been through that, they literally give you a box to comment or describe or whatever your reasoning for the appeal. That's like a Twitter post. It's short. It's ridiculous. If I want to write 3 pages fully explaining the context of the video, what all went on, why this was this way and that, why not give me that opportunity? But anyway, did the best I could, filled that out, sent it in, and then they denied it. Well, what was interesting is when I would go in and look at my video, it would just say this video has been deleted. When other viewers would go in that had the link to that video, be it going into old notifications off an email, whatever, it said this video has been removed for participating in deceptive practices, scamming, or spamming. So basically, they were accusing me of being a criminal, which is a little bit on the side of defamation of character, I would say. And what was odd about that is I could log out of my CloverTac account and I would see it. I would see that message. But when I went back into mine, it just said this video has been deleted.
Yeah,
so they were showing they were talking behind my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like someone reported it under that category, and maybe enough people, maybe one of these roving groups of people trolling around doing stuff reported it. That's what it got tagged under. And
it's possible
how they validated that when someone actually, I don't know, how long's the podcast?
It's an hour. It usually run about an hour.
I don't know if someone actually listened to it all. Maybe if they skim through there themselves and like, oh, he's talking about how to bulk upload this. Okay, that's spamming. You know, I'm not trying to excuse it at all, man. I think that it's totally ridiculous, in my opinion. By the way, I personally believe in going to DEFCON 1 with YouTube immediately. That's my philosophy. I don't try to be nice about anything when anything goes down. Go to DEFCON 1. You know, that's what you got to do. Look at these guys. They're trying to kill me right here.
Well, the interesting
thing, that's how you need to do that.
The interesting thing about it, Hank, is that I've always preached diversity. I've talked about it even when I've come on here before. And even though I've done that, I was so used to YouTube because it's so easy and it's what we know. And I spent so much time learning things with YouTube that I didn't realize until I was kind of forced out of it. I didn't realize how dependent upon it I was. And it's sort of been freeing the last few weeks. Okay,
so when you say diversity, you're talking about diversing
cross-platform.
Yeah, cross-platform, spreading yourself out so that you're not just solely dependent on one thing.
Right, and content form as well. You know, not just live, not just produced, but or live video, not just produced, but podcast, Instagram post, social media interaction, working your Patreon, which is an amazing platform. If you're out there, if you're a creator, if you're an organization, if you're anything that, has people that would follow you or want to communicate with you, get on Patreon. It's a cool platform.
By the way, Vanessa Kitty said that message comes up on a lot of videos being taken down.
Yeah. So, I was told, because I do have a few connections inside the Beltway, so to speak, and I was told that there was an algorithm change about 2 weeks prior to that strike. And part of that algorithm change included some issues to combat piracy over the Android apps. And a couple of people that technically would be more in the know than I was told me that I probably got caught up in that. They said, in all honesty, you probably got caught up in that. And then they told me point blank that went to an AI review. It never got a human on it. You're going to have to call, email, get some attention, whatever. And actually,
if you actually got a human being, that's the reason why I say, like, I don't know if anyone out there is interested in what to do when something goes down. I've come under attack several times. So yeah, there's actually, I think Lola and I are at the point where when other people come under attack, they ask us like, oh, what do you do?
You're a professional.
Yeah. So I think that's why immediately you have to make so much noise that a person looks at it. Because if a person looks at it, even if you might have done something that was kind of like on the edge, they can look at it and go, oh, okay, I understand this particular thing. I think it's the bots that just don't give a damn.
Yeah, well, they can't put things into context. They're looking at words and phrases, and that's pretty much all they can do.
Yeah,
until you get a human ear or even human eyes for the first 2 minutes probably of that live stream, where it's obvious it's all creators. Because I figure what happened is it was reported, and or the AI is thinking that we're talking about ripping other people's stuff from the internet and publishing it as our own podcast.
Yeah.
It's probably what they're talking about, pirating
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the case. It's around the context of we're talking about dealing with our own intellectual property here, not somebody else's.
But the AI, I don't know if people understand this. The AI is actually grabbing what you even say, but it can't parse the words the way a human being can parse the words.
That's why it's important to, and I fall short of this, especially on, good Lord, I don't know how you would do it on this show. You would go broke trying to pay somebody to do it for sure. But closed captioning, to have proper closed captioning in there. And on Thursday night, we actually talked about, if you've got a shorter video, 2 or 3 minute video, spending some time and going there and cleaning up the closed captioning.
Yeah, it's about $1 a minute if you hire like there's some Indian firms, for example.
Right. Yeah, Fiverr, you can get on Fiverr. There's pretty cheap.
Yeah. So and here's the thing about it, right? So this is why, like you said, we need to diversify channels. This is why I'm bringing it back to what's happening with NRA TV. The NRA and the rest of the industry, this is not just NRA. This is a whole massive entire industry out there. Big companies are ignoring this whole thing, even though the industry cannot advertise really on radio, very limited, if anything goes over radio. I know you think they're on TV. What you don't understand about the TV shows you see out there, they literally someone has to buy that airtime from that channel to have like a gun show that's showing up on TV, right? So magazines suck. Nobody reads them. Okay. The blogs are horrible. Just look at the blogs right now. I think the truth about guns, I like more than the firearm blog. Firearm blog's not even saying shit about the NRA right now. So people don't look at that. They look at YouTube. They look at social media. That's where they're going. Yet no one in the industry is thinking, maybe we should help these guys. Maybe we should have our own thing. You know, I know there's several different places out there. There's not just Gunstreamer. There's Gunstreamer and this thing and that thing and the other thing. And maybe you just help a couple of people, right? Because who knows who's going to survive? They're not doing anything. For a fact, these guys are just sitting on the fence and just sitting back. And now even the NRA that was using your money to fund NRA TV and control the message to you, they were using your money to propaganda your ass. Even now they have problems because they're losing money and they've misused the money. And they've also lost our, like whatever little bit of trust that we ever had in them, they've lost that as well. And now all of this is coming out, and this is just like the edge. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, what do you guys think about that?
I agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see going forward, you know, how they deal with it. Do they go into a panic mode, or, you know, what's going to happen to
well, it's like everything, you trim up the fat.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to kill the whole NRA TV.
But do they trim out the right fat? That's going to be the question. Can they? Can good come from this? Because we've talked about this all the time. Or I say we again. I have mice in my pocket apparently tonight. But you know, it's been talked about before that you know, bring down the NRA, bring them down, build them back up. Right? I've heard that before. Well, you know, if that's the case, we're bringing them down. Is there potential? I mean, are we bringing down? Are we taking out the right people? Are the right people going to leave and move on and be replaced to be able to build that back up?
I think we're living, like I said, I think we're living in a brave new world. I think there's multiple people now, right? The Second Amendment Foundation, there's GOA, there's this thing, there's that thing, and then there's us. I think that's the thing. I don't think we need one monolithic organization ever again.
No.
You know, and I'm not even saying that the NRA goes completely all away. You know, I think that we all need to think about what's going on. We all need to come up to speed to this brave new world that we're living in. And we've only been doing this now for 15 years or so. Right? Maybe people need to start waking up and realizing that this is all predicated on the message and the message getting out there. When you look at laws they're trying to put in effect, they want to write laws about electronic advertising, right? You've seen that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. With if you're talking, I don't remember what the 3D printed gun bill, whatever it's called. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, you know, a couple of people are that maybe out there, they may not understand this, but something that people need to realize, and I don't remember who it was out there had mentioned it, actually mentioned it earlier with the Second Amendment Foundation. The NRA takes credit for anything and everything, but they do very little. Other smaller organizations, state organizations, smaller organizations, what have you, they will file the initial suit, and then later on the NRA will sign on to it so that they can take the credit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I got to wonder if we lose the NRA, especially with us, and by us I mean the creatives and the bloggers and the new media, as G-Webs out there likes to call it. He says drop the S on news, right? And it's new media. The new media. Can we be the propaganda arm of what the NRA would be now? And then Second Amendment Foundation, GOA, somebody like that, they're already doing the work in the courts. It would be a small shift for them to then move into a little bit of legislative action from there. And they don't have to worry about the big media conglomerate that is NRA TV, let's say, right?
Yeah, I agree with you.
That.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. For them, that's a scary proposition because they won't be able to control the message. I don't think you should try to control the message. I wish, it's like I saw someone asking in the chat whether or not we're all going to go to the NRA convention. I honestly don't know at this point. I don't know if there'll be one, but I think that's like, I wish there was a separate convention because then I wouldn't go to the NRA thing. I wish there was something else going on that I could go to, that everyone's going to go to, and I could meet up with everyone and we could all hang out and talk about. No, it's not. Well, it's not SHOT Show. That's industry. And the industry, I'm going to tell you something. The industry doesn't give a shit about this for the most part.
We have the second biggest convention center in the nation in Orlando.
Yeah. Well, like I'm saying to you, man, I think that we do the whole industry. I don't want to say the whole industry doesn't care. There's lots of companies out there, lots of individuals who run companies that do care. There's a few big companies that do care, but I think as a whole, the industry doesn't really care. And I'm pretty sure that SHOT Show for them is just this big party that they get to go out and get hookers and blow and, write off stuff on their taxes and run around, so.
Hey, hookers need work too.
Right.
Yeah, listen, I'm not against it. I'm not. I'm
the hardworking ladies and men.
Yeah, I'm anti the thought audit.
Hey, we're not getting back into the thought audit thing. Come on. I missed out on that chat on purpose. No comment.
But I think we do need to do something. I think you're right there, Clover. There's a new way that this is going to evolve. What I'm worried about is the organization of it, because even amongst us, we don't all really get along, which I get.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
We haven't. We just us three here have already agreed in the last hour. We've already had disagreements just amongst us three. So yeah.
I don't mind.
We're not vicious about it.
Yeah. I don't mind. I like all of you guys.
We're conversing. There's a difference.
Can you get over it and move along? And are you headed in the same direction? That's the question that you got to ask.
Now, the problem is it becomes a vindictive thing.
Obviously, when you're having a disagreement with an anti-gunner, you're not headed in the same direction. However, if you have a disagreement with a FUD, you may still be headed in the same direction, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to look at
maybe.
That.
I think one of the things happening why everyone says the quote unquote gun community is because one of the things is that we have a lot of fake alphas. That's one. That's a huge problem. There should be a fake alpha audit.
The game is changing, Hank. You just wait. You give it 5 years.
But I think
they'll say alpha who, or where's that guy that used to be on? It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I think that we do have to do something about it, and there are ways, but that's why if you look at it, the ways of us doing that, those are the things that are attacking us. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are the things that every day are like, nope, you guys can't say this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And
they don't have to, we'll attack ourselves.
It's so crazy. There are tech people. I was talking this week with the guys from Gunstreamer. Those are actual tech guys that are gun guys. Yes. Okay, and they're out there doing something, and their platform is for real. There's people out there with fake platforms as well. I got to tell you guys that.
And so they are like this with their creators.
Yes, and they are real. and they are tech guys, and they're doing something that you guys could go see right now. It's up, it's running. You could join it. You don't have to get on the list and beg someone to let you in. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Not only do they not have the industry support, they don't have all of our support either.
Yeah, right. No, they've still got a ways to go with as far as they've come in the last less than a year, right? As far as they've come, it's been amazing. I will say this to those that are out there that don't know about Gunstreamer. Not only go over there and check it out. Heck, they've got a lot of you out there mobile centric. You're like, well, they don't have the app, so I'm not going to mess with it. Well, they do. They have the Apple and the Android app, so no excuses. But don't just get over there. But for stuff like this, like Hank's doing stuff like, hopefully I will do again one day.
No, you will. You're on. They put you on timeout for how long?
Yeah, I got 90 days. So mid shot show week, it'd be, I should
classification.
Yeah. So
he's working harder. He's working harder.
You threw my train of thought there. Yeah, I can talk about that. Some of the things I've learned, but yeah. No, what I'm saying is they're one of their priorities, and I don't know if you've talked to Austin and them about this, but one of their priorities is live streaming. Mm-hmm. So if you get signed up over there, just shoot them a message and let them know, hey, we come over here because we were watching Hank or we were watching Clover or whatever, and they mentioned Gunstreamer, and right now they're having to do their live streaming on YouTube. They have no other option for that.
Yeah, I did actually
be available. So throw a little bit of support, a little bit of push behind them. And I'm not bugging them about live stream. I understand that to set up the infrastructure and with all the tech, it's going to take time for them to do that. Money as well.
Yeah,
but let them know that
a lot of money.
Yeah, but let them know you're behind that idea.
Yes. I think that definitely something has to be done with that. I think something can be done with that. We have to understand it's expensive, though. What we're doing right now is expensive, and that's why ultimately these companies have the ability to do it to us, because they know that the level for entry is not very low. It's a high thing to be able to get into it and do it.
It's expensive to do it on the quality level of Google and YouTube like you're seeing here. For those out there, there's already been, of course, Trae had some issues. I'm having camera issues because of my internet. I can't.
Yeah, I have it from time to time.
And what I'm saying is there's been some complaints out there in the chat. I get that all the time, especially when I turn the camera on because my internet's horrible. So I see complaints all the time. The problem is you can do this on much less money than what YouTube, Google, whatever is spending to do this. The problem is it's going to be a little jinky and it's going to be a little quirky. And are people going to put up with it? Because even with being here on Google and YouTube, you have people that don't tolerate and can't put up with any kind of little quirks or blurriness or little bit of choppiness or static in the audio or anything like that. They have to have, I guess they're not used to country life like me. And having crappy internet, they've got 200 meg up, 200 meg down, and can do whatever they want.
If you get up in the morning and you have both your toes, you're happy, right?
Yeah, the house ain't on fire.
As long as I've got cell phone signal or something, I'm lucky enough to text a lot of times. But so there's a lot of people out there that are really keyed in on that quality, and I don't think that's the majority of people, but I do think it's a lot of people. So, I think they can do something. I think they can do something within the next few months, but I don't know that they're going to be able to make everybody happy with it. Is going to be the problem.
I think I agree with you with what you're saying there. I think the thing is that they need support. Okay, they've done something big already, and they're definitely tech guys, and they have that going for them. I think they need further support, and I don't think they need flash in the pan support. I think they need people who are willing to play the slow game here or the long game, because it's going to take time to do this. Most of us, like I said, I'm going to say this again. Most people are sheep. Okay. Most people are sheep. If you're sitting in a room with 3 people, if you look around, probably 2 of those people are sheep. Just telling you, that's the reality of what we're all dealing with. And because of that, most people are going to sit on the fence and wait until everything goes really, really bad. Then they're going to jump in. But these guys, I think, need the support, because if we all wait for when they finally have the political cover and all that kind of stuff to pull the plug on us, it's going to be too late to try to pick people up out of the ashes. So whoever gets in there and supports them, that includes us, because they don't need it from just one point of view. They need content creators, they need viewers, they need an audience to come in there and actually look at things. And then they need the industry to get behind it and maybe do advertising. So, for example, some company came along and said, hey, we're going to sponsor the live podcast or something like that. Those kind of things would help that. They need all of that. And then we have to be patient and willing to give this a year or 2 years for it to take off, instead of going, okay, it's been 2 hours. What's up?
And I talked to Austin, and he mentioned, in fact, he jumped on an Instagram feed I had one night, and I ended up capturing it and actually producing it because it was an excellent conversation. And he mentioned monetization, right? And I told him point blank, I don't know how you feel about this, Hank, or anybody else out there that produces content or whatever, but I told him point blank, I could care less on my end. If you can get monetization and it helps you further the project and better the platform, at least short term for the next few years or whatever it might be, and then we can look into some profit sharing or whatever it might be. But don't come out of the gate thinking that you've got to install a way for me to feed off the teat of Gunstreamer, because I've come up in the YouTube in a world to where I have to push product. I have to push affiliate marketing, to help try to fund some of the projects and the other things that's going on. The Patreon, which you have as well, and fan funding and things like that. So there's other ways to generate revenue without siphoning off of a young platform that I think right now in Gunstreamer needs, like you said, not just the moral support, but the monetary support as well.
Yeah. I don't know, Trae, do you have an opinion on all this? I know you're not a super.
No, I do. I was just waiting until I got my turn.
No, go ahead. I'll let you go before I go.
You guys are making valid points. I see people posting on there, GunTuber this, GunTuber that. We have GunCom. Let's all get together and do this. We don't get together. We fight. I mean, I do events in my place where it's media only. We send all this out to media. It's all told ahead of time, and 5 guys show up. Hell, you should just show up just to support the gun industry, period. I mean, I know you can't make every event. I understand that. But, I see the conflict, especially me as a range owner. See, I'm the one that they're going to push out. It's easy to say, okay, y'all keep your guns, but we'll shut all the ranges down. Where are you going to shoot at? Yep, guess what? We can get you one way or the other. I'm under constant attack, constantly, by the extreme liberals. I'm dealing with one right now, but he can't do nothing to me, but he's still going to attack me. They're shooting at 6 in the morning with these laser machine gun sights and all this other stuff. And I'm like, 6 in the morning? We don't shoot. I don't even get up at 6 in the morning. What we figured out was it was duck season, and the duck hunters live behind his house, and they're out there shooting ducks. But this is the kind of tax I get. But then I go look to my community, and we're all fighting amongst ourselves, infighting. Don't infight. Let's all support each other. I don't have to agree with somebody, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go bashing. We need to support each other. I'm going to tell you right now, unity in numbers. I mean, that's what the NRA is. They're unity in numbers. But all the gun owners out there, there's only 5 million of them. I find it hard to believe. Now, I'm not supporting the NRA because you guys all have your different opinion on it. But be a part of some kind of gun organization that supports you. Guns of America. I saw some other theirs on there that they were talking about. Yeah. I mean, we need to support each other. I'm telling you, I think we're not going to have problems.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Trae, and I want to hit on that just for a second. You talk about the 5 million in the NRA and that not being near the gun owners. Estimated 75 million people.
And we're 5 million. That's it.
And the NRA is
that's
only
what the NRA has. That's what the NRA.
No, that's what I'm saying. Out of 75 million, they only have 5. So
okay, well, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers. I think that 5 million number is actually accurate, and I'm going to tell you why. Just hold on a second. Here's why I think it's accurate. Look at on YouTube, the biggest gun guy you could find on YouTube. What numbers does he have? Before it was FPS Russia, right? FPS Russia is not really doing it anymore.
3 to 5 million, probably.
Yeah, the biggest guy right now that I've seen lately is Demo Ranch, and he has 6 million on Demo Ranch on its own.
Right.
So that tells you something, because he obviously has another channel that's, I think, Vet Ranch.
Got two, doesn't he? And then Off the Ranch.
Yeah. So Demo Ranch, I think, is the one that's mostly gun specific. And that gives you a really good idea. The other big guys out there would be Hickok. I think Hickok somewhere around 3-4 million. IV, those guys are in the 3 million category. So yeah, I think the die-hard core of the group, maybe the bigger group is 75 million. The die-hard core of that group is probably somewhere around, floating around in that 5 million area. Okay, now
yeah, that's just YouTubers.
The problem with trying to use YouTube for that metric, I can tell you this for a fact: Demo Ranch has a ton of underage viewership, and Hickok's that way too. You get into Eric's channel, IV8088, not so much. Dutton Fancy, not so much. There's several out there, but particularly Hickok and Demo. You get a lot of people that watch. It's more of an entertainment / infotainment thing.
Yeah,
that you get people that watch that either can't, are not old enough to own a firearm, or they really have no interest, but that they want to live vicariously through that person who owns a firearm.
I think that's true, but then that means that the actual, even the core numbers of that go smaller, right? What I'm saying, roughly, we don't have 75 million people like we think. If you showed up at a rally in your state capital, you didn't see 7,500 people. You probably didn't see 75 people.
Nope.
So I just don't.
In Texas. Yeah,
because most gun owners are employed.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's just that.
The first rally that was it was the Never Enough Ammo, the 2A Capital rally thing that was pushed so heavily, and other states had a better turnout than Texas. And what was sad about that is I pushed that through with Texas State Rifle Association, got the email list, pushed that through, and you would not believe the number of responses that I got telling me that, well, why are you having it during the middle of hunting season? In other words, we'll go down there one day for 4 hours and protest, but it can't be during hunting season. We can't miss 4 hours of hunting for that.
Yeah.
Through a whole season, because there's other days and whatnot you could go hunting, right?
Yeah.
So
I think here's the thing.
That's a problem.
So here's the thing with the numbers. I think you have to look at percentages of everything. You have to look at percentages of everything. You don't get, I don't know. I've got 70,000 people that follow me on YouTube on the regular channel. That doesn't mean that 70,000 people look at a video when I put it up. Yep. It's 10% or less. Yep. Same thing here. I think we've got something like 7,000 people. When this video, we don't have 700, 10% of that will be 700. We don't have 700 people watching it right now. We will get that 10% within the next 24 hours. So you always have to break it down like that. I think that there's a lot of people that are overseas that are fans of people, and there's a lot of young people, but the young people are future gun guys. Right. But if you look at really what's going on, look, I am currently a member of the NRA. I pay for my membership because when I go there, I need to be able to vote. They have all these stupid things. I'm honestly burnt out on trying to vote people in to sit on the board of the NRA. I don't know if it's going to make any difference, even if we got those people's asses in there and all of that. But what I'm trying to say to you is that the percentage of people who are actually going to do something is not as big as we think it's going to be. We have to come to grips with that reality that it's not as big. The gun guys are across the spectrum. Sides. Yeah, but gun guys are across the spectrum. The big bulk of the people who are in the NRA, even today with this news, with everything that we're saying, those diehard NRA guys are like, these guys need to shut up. They hate us. Okay, whatever the NRA says, they're all down with that. Whatever, anything the NRA says. If the NRA said tomorrow you got to turn your guns in, those guys go, must be a reason. They're playing 3D chess with everyone. We're going to turn our guns in, and then we're going to get all the guns in the world. They will believe it. That's the thing. So we're at the end of the day, we're literally in a minority. But that doesn't mean that there's no reason to fight, because we don't need that many people to actually affect things.
Yeah, and I think that as more get active, you pull more over to the active side as well. You got a certain amount of apathy, but I think that you talk about, a lot of people talk about FUDs, and I hate to call a FUD, but I do know some FUDs that call themselves FUDs. So I think for maybe the last time this show, I'm going to say the word FUD. Hey,
Fud that.
yeah, exactly. I think that as they see, as we, you lead by example. And I think as there's people out there that turn cameras on or do whatever it might be and engage in the community and everything else, and they see somebody doing next level stuff, then I think that may inspire them to come out of that. Everybody has to start somewhere. I don't fault anybody for, their background was just they grew up hunting and they never really got into self-defense or competition or that kind of stuff. Because like I said earlier, I'm not into all the defensive training and all of that kind of mess. It's not my thing. I don't enjoy it. But, I understand why it's there, understand why people do. And by all means, if that's what you want to do,
you don't knock it.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly okay.
It is what it is. You're different and you do something different.
I think that as we open minds to people, this is where that training aspect of the NRA that's been lost comes into play. Now, for me, I'm kind of the same that Hank said. I feel almost extorted that I have to pay money to the NRA every year. But in order for me to do the things locally on the ground in the community that I do, to affect real change in real people, right? Not that the however many's out there in the chat right now are not real people. We hope they're not all robots out there. But that's
why we go to the NRA show to meet them,
right? But to affect the real change with the real people in the community, I have to hold those certifications. There's no other standard.
Yes,
I have to.
When you look at other states, when you deal with other states, they specifically say the NRA or law enforcement or military. They do not say any other company. Like, what's the other one? There's another one out there that's
the USCCA.
Yep. They don't mean shit.
So here's the thing, because I want to go back to this. I think, good points there, but I don't want to miss the first part of what Trae was saying, like why we don't all get along. Because I think we should address that to some extent. Because it is part of what's happening here. I think it is a part of what's happening.
We also attack other people too. So when I get people coming to my range, I go, man, you're completely different range. I've never been to a range like this. Well, why is that? What is different about my range? We shoot, we do have rules, things like that. Well, you're nice to me. What do you mean I'm nice to you? Well, when I went to the other range, they were mean to me. I'm a woman or I'm whatever the case may be. They were mean. So we literally cut our own throats, to be honest with you. I train anybody. I don't care who they are. If anybody walks up and they want to learn how to beat, except for a terrorist, obviously, if they're on a terrorist watch list or felon, I mean, you don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Some guy comes to me and goes, I'll learn how to shoot. I don't care what he is. Sure, I'll teach you. I'll teach you how to be safe. Hey, you just want to learn how to shoot for recreation? That's fine. You want to learn how to shoot for hunting? I don't care. I start from scratch. I teach you from the beginning. I had special forces guys come out that I trained. My one special forces friend laughs because I make them load magazines. I make them do it all. Now, they might do it one time and get it correct, but I don't know that guy. I treat everybody the same. I'm going to teach you from scratch, work my way up, teach you how to handle the gun. But, we as ranges cut their own throats. They don't kick people out. They chase them off. We chase our own selves off. We destroy our own foundation, where we'd had a lot more people that, I want to shoot because I was shooting with my grandfather when he was a kid, but I got lost that concept of doing it. And now I want to get back into it. And then they go to the range and they're treated like crap, or people are rude and they don't come back. And we did that. We do that.
I think that's a human being thing. I don't think there's any group, I do a lot of car stuff. Guess what? This is going to be a secret. The car guys fucking hate each other. And the companies attack the car guys, and there's car guy organizations, and then they decide there's car companies that decide, oh, we're not selling cars to this person. It happens everywhere because of us, human beings. It's the same thing like with the guns. People think, oh, we got to ban the guns. It's the guns problem. No, it's us, the people problems, right? So that's what we have here. To me, it's just like high school. All the cliques. You got your jocks and your nerds and your goths, and all these kinds of cliques. Everyone's trying to be king of the clique. You know, everyone wants to be the biggest rooster or cock or whatever it is out there, and be on top of the hill and push everyone around and all that kind of stuff. And you know, with all of that going on, everything else goes down the drain. We wind up not in a position where we can really actually get along with each other. I think that's what you're talking about, Trae. It's unfortunate. I'm not a fan of it, but it's happening. It's happened to me. I've gotten involved in those kinds of things, not because I want to, because I can't help it in this thing. There's people that are doing this, and for 100% fake ass reasons.
Yes.
There's people doing this, politicians, people who own gun companies, who own gun stores, got people who tell you they're gun guys and they're 100% fake. That's like, I could deal with a lot of shit, but when I realize that someone is disingenuous, that's where I have to get the hell out.
Oh, you can get the hell out. You don't have to say nothing about it. You know,
I try not to. Sometimes I can't help it.
Class from Canada, never even shot a gun, touched a gun, was scared of guns. Takes my concealed weapons class. The first time she comes out, she shoots one time and starts crying. So I unload the gun, put it down. I said, "Sit down. Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" "No." "Well, why are you crying? Are you all right?" She goes, "Yeah, but I could have just killed somebody." I said, "Well, you didn't. You shot a paper target, and then the bullet hit the berm. Everybody's safe. I promise you, nobody's back there." I mean, that was a long lesson, but I sat there and took the time to teach her. And she said, "I want to buy a gun because I have the capability here in the United States to protect myself." And you know, what would have happened if she went to another range? Tell me, CloverTac. She went to a regular range, just not a special unordinary range, just a regular normal range where she'd have been ridiculed and pushed out of it. She would have never got a concealed weapons permit, never got a gun. And that day I made a +1 of not gunner, of not anti-gunner.
Yeah, she would have gotten ignored at the very best. She would have been there crying
if she was lucky,
and everybody
would have ridiculed her.
Yeah, this is the game that everyone. This is how it is for everyone. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, guys. Ultimately, everyone's not going to get together. I'm just telling you. Like, that's a conclusion I came to a long time ago. No, I know. Obviously, that's why we're here. That's why I'm doing this. That's the reason why I pay rent on this place. I come in here every day. I work here from like morning till night, you know, and I do this show 5 times a week, and I do all the stuff that I do because of that exact reason. I know that everyone's not going to get along. There's a whole bunch of cliques in this thing. There are people that exclude you from the clique. I've had guys, I'm not going to tell anyone, but I've had guys in this industry that sat down and told me, "Hey, we paid our dues. You're going to have to pay your dues." All kinds of shit like that. That's how this is. Yeah. That's what we're dealing with. And we can't change that.
Even though they paid their dues in a totally different YouTube environment.
Yeah, but and the thing is that I just don't think that matters. I think somehow we're gonna be multiple groups. That's just what it's gonna be. There's always gonna be some people that can float in all of those groups for whatever kinds of reasons, but ultimately we're gonna be separate groups, and we just have to do what we can do within our group. For me, here's what it is. I want to win, but I don't have to win. I just want to know that I fought. That's the thing that's important to me. Screaming Skull Saloon gave me $5. He says, "Thank you, Hank. You're welcome. I appreciate that." Screaming Skull Saloon. I think that's what we have to try to do here. You know, that's the thing. Like, we have to make sure that we survive what's coming and we have some kind of voice. I think ultimately it's going to take something really bad going down. Then everyone's going to wake up. Right now, everyone's sleeping. They're not going to wake up until they go to a store, you know, or they wake up in the morning and it's like, yeah, you can't have these guns. As a matter of fact, if you have them, you have to give them up. And then people are going to realize. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's a little. I think it's a little better nowadays than what you said. Not much. I'm not saying it's much better, but I think it's a little better. I don't think there's not near enough woke that needs to be woke, but I think there's quite a few that are right there on the ready. So I don't know that it would take as big an event as that would be, as a confiscation of an event or an all-out ban event.
You think so?
They don't have to. They red flag.
I think so. They
red flag. You and your wife get in an argument. She's pissed off at you. I call the cops and said, you threatened me. Boom, you lost all your guns right there.
Depends on the state you live in, and even then, I mean, there is due process for that. A lot of people don't read those regulations and other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talk about this all the time, and we talk about it so much that sometimes I think it's miserable, and I try to just talk about fun things, and then someone goes, "Oh, you're not talking about this stuff going on." Of course, we're talking about it, we're thinking about it, but we're like preaching to the choir, we're preaching to ourselves. And what we really need to do is get other people to realize what's happening and say, okay, this can't, but they don't see it. I don't really think
Make them
the majority.
They don't have to even understand what's going on. They support the Second Amendment and they like guns, even if they just like skeet shooting. They are part of they will vote in favor of it.
I go further than that. They can hate guns. They can absolutely not want to touch a gun. That's fine. There's lots of things in this world I hate, and I don't want to take them away from anybody. So I think we got to strive for even more than that. We've got to strive for a mutual respect. That's like, look, if you like to whatever, like hanks into cars, if you instead of crushing every car made before the year 2000 because we can't have them because they pollute the environment or something, if you like old muscle cars or whatever, I'll fight to keep muscle cars around, or whatever it might be that you enjoy to do, as long as it's legal and not infringing on somebody or what am I thinking, threatening their safety or anything like that. Then that's perfectly okay. But, at the same time, I mean, respect my hobbies and decisions and rights and everything else as well, regardless of whether you want to participate, right? The Constitution is not even voting. It's not something that says you have to do this. It's something that says the government can't stop you from doing this. Right? Also,
it's on you to realize that is something that you need to do.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I don't even give a crap and I'm not going to do it. Look, I think if you look at it this way, if people really think that taking away guns is going to fix situations that are out there, just think about the folks out there because I think we're all comfortable. That's really the big thing here. I think most people are very comfortable, right? And that's why they're not doing anything. But and even though we see these school shootings and things like that happening, what's happening, unless that happens to you, okay, you're still comfortable, but now you're scared when you see it happening to someone else, that it's you like, oh my God, I don't want that to happen to me. And then people make you think, well, the only way you can stop this from happening to you is take away guns. But what if your brain just thought a little bit differently and you started thinking, well, what if we were actually able to use guns to defend our schools and places like that where our children go and we don't want anything to happen to them? If you started thinking that way, right, that's what's going to make the difference. The problem is everyone's comfortable, and they're comfortable, and then they're watching this happen to someone else. And when it happens to someone else, they just get scared. They don't actually think, because it happened to someone else, what would they do to themselves? But if you ask a parent out there, would you take up a gun and defend schools to keep this from happening to your kid? Would you take up guns and defend any places that these kind of things happen in public to stop it from happening to people? If it happened to someone that you really cared about, how many people out there are going to go, no, I'm not going to take up guns to do it?
Very, very few.
Yeah, very few. Most people can go, hey, if that's what I have to do to stop this from happening, I don't want this to happen. But because people are so comfortable, and then they're just dealing with everything from a fair position and not getting to the point, like, if you're really scared, then what do you do? And the reason why I'm telling you this, that is what happened to me. Like, I was having nightmares of, living, this is a long time ago. I had these nightmares of living in a post-apocalyptic world with my family, with my children, my wife, and I'm separated from them, and I don't know what to do. And that was creating fear. And then I was like, well, what would I do if this actually happened? And then I started thinking, well, I've got to make sure that I know how to take care of myself, and my children know how to take care of themselves, and my wife knows how to take care of themselves. And I've got to start looking to solve these problems by myself, on my own. And that's what led me to where I am today. I just don't think I'm not saying other people don't come to that same conclusion. There are people out there that are coming to those conclusions if they really think this all the way through. But most people out there are just somehow magically thinking, no, we're going to take away the guns. This is going to stop. And the only way they're going to wake up from that is if they think they got what they want and then they still see it happening.
Or we try to convince them different.
Yeah.
Okay. Mass shootings. Mass shootings are actually a very rare thing. I know a lot of people like to talk about the mass shootings, but they actually are a rarity. And I talk about them in one of my classes. We've had guns, I mean, since the dawn of time, basically. What changed? I mean, even in the 50s, they had shooting clubs in New York. I mean, in the schools. What changed? What was the dynamic that changed the profile to all of a sudden now we got shootings? I mean, when I was in school, everybody had a hunting rifle back of their truck. Everybody went hunting after school. Nobody shot at each other. I mean, you got your face punched in if you were running your mouth, but you didn't have to worry about anybody shooting you.
Did you have bad guys back then?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, bad guys have always existed, but I mean.
So what we have now, like what I'm trying to say, like you're saying, what changed? So what do we have now? Do we have more bad guys, or do we just have more people who are somehow broken and they feel like they have pain and they're not gonna just like take themselves out of the world, that everyone else has to feel their pain? So when they either go about taking themselves out of the world, they're gonna hurt other people, or they're going to hurt other people and then, I don't know, just give up and go to jail or something like that.
It's infamy.
Huh?
They want to be infamous.
I think
I do think, well, if you look at there is a common denominator in a lot of these shootings, and I hate to say it, and so and people are actually saying on the chat, it's psychotropic medication. I mean, I've brought it up before. If you look at a lot of these mass shooters, they're on drugs, not medication, not like snorting coke or anything. They're on some kind of medication. Now, I'm not saying that the medication did it. What I'm saying is there is a common denominator when you look at a lot of these shootings.
Right, but I'll jump in here just to say, because I've been into this argument many times before. This conversation, right? Many times before. What's the common denominator? Oh, it's psychotropic drugs. The conversation stops. So let's go further with this, because if they're on psychotropic drugs, there's a reason. Right? Is that reason real, or is that reason made up because the parents just didn't want to deal with the kid, and boys can't be boys and run around and be hyper, so we got to shove some pills down his throat to make him sit on the freaking corner?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think most people don't need those drugs. Most people don't need those drugs, and you think that if you do something that physically makes that person not jump around, that you've solved the problem, when what they needed to do was jump around.
Yeah.
Huh?
A lot of the mass shootings are anti-gunners.
You've suppressed.
Very rarely is it a trained shooter like, hey, I've been shooting all my life. That's a rarity. They are actually anti-gun people the majority of the time. We'll use the Aurora, Colorado shooting example. Democrat, never shot a gun in his life, went out, bought a bunch of guns, or went out and stole a bunch of guns. He got them, obtained them illegally, mined his house, booby-trapped his whole house. He was Batman. He was playing the Joker, and then he goes out and shoots a bunch of people. But he was also, if you look in the pictures, that dude was high as a kite, and he was on psychotropic medication.
Yeah, I think that's part of the. What was that?
The church shooter guy. I can't think of his name. That chopped the black church. Same.
I mean, none of them deserve us knowing. Yeah, none of them deserve us knowing what their names are. I think that's helping with the disconnect. I think first of all, we always had disconnected people. I don't care how far back you go. When we lived in mud huts or in caves or whatever, you had someone in the small communities that we had that was just batshit crazy. Okay, just disconnected, and they would hurt people. And back then, what you would do is you would kill their asses and drag them out somewhere and bury them or do whatever. Like, okay, that's not a problem anymore.
Call the herd.
Yeah, that was the psych ward. I think now we've obviously got more people, but the thing is that we've got more disconnected people because there's a lot of people out there. Yes, they're on a lot of different drugs. I think that the legal drugs that exist out there are way more dangerous than things like marijuana and all of that.
We don't have, and it's a systemic societal issue too. We don't have we don't have the valuing of human life. We don't have the respecting.
Humanizing of
We don't have the
subhuman.
respecting of another human. We don't have empathy. We don't. There's so many things that come to mind, and I'm thinking that we, as a society, when they'll push that, we don't have morals and standards anymore, right?
Nope.
For Christ's sake, there's 47 different genders. What's with up? Come on, we need
Also,
Not even
standards.
just that.
We
We
need standards.
dehumanize other people we don't agree with. They're subhumans. So when it's subhuman, it's easier to eradicate it than it is with a human.
Mhm.
So they do that. If you watch the Democrats, if somebody has a gun, they're subhuman. They're a terrible human because they want to murder all these people. Their justification for that, when in all actuality, it's a dehumanization of the person in the first place.
Yeah, but I think
I have a lot of guns. I got
we
machine guns and Barretts and everything else. I
Yeah,
have
but
kids just like the guy next to me.
we dehumanize people on our side as well.
True.
So,
Yes, absolutely,
Libtard-
absolutely correct. Absolutely
Libtard
correct.
is the worst, man. Libtard. I mean, come on, really.
yeah.
I like Snowflake myself. But
I get it, and I get it. I get why we use those. I totally understand, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that we do that. And I think that where people are disconnected from just simple things that you may not think has anything to do with it, people are disconnected from having to, like, what does killing something really mean? You know, how many people out there had to really kill something? Now, obviously,
but they do. They do it over and over again all day on TV and video games.
Yeah, and maybe that's what disconnects them. And I don't think that disconnects everyone. I got to tell you that. There's lots of people that play video games and they do that stuff, and they're not like that.
Yeah.
I think the people who are like that were broken in the first place, and then those games help it along. But there's people out there who are not like that. They play video games. This is how they unwind. I got to tell you, there's no person here or living that doesn't have a vice. You got to have some kind of vice. Okay, everyone has to have a vice. But I think, for example, when I was a kid, when I remember being a kid living outside of America, I remember several times my mother made me kill a chicken, or I saw her slaughter a goat or something like that. I never went hunting, but you see that and you have some understanding of what happens when you take life because you need to eat. But there's still feelings there that you have to deal with and all that, where today it's just like, go to the store. Wait a second.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah, are you saying this chicken?
I was taught.
Yeah.
If I kill it, I eat it, and I've always been taught that. Now, don't get me wrong. Eradication of pigs. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I can't eat every pig I shoot because they overwhelm my property. But if I shoot a deer, I'm eating it. If I'm not gonna eat it, then it's gonna walk. But that's not. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you on Hank. I mean, that isn't interesting. Yeah, we don't. Nobody. And I do agree with you. Kids are not taught morals because guess what? It's better to be your friend than your parent. I want to be your friend. No, I'm sorry. I disagree with that. I'm your parent. Sorry, some days I'm going to whoop your ass because you've been bad. Mm-hmm. Some days you're going to get in trouble. I'm going to scold you, whatever the case may be. Parents don't do that anymore. I tell my son, respect people, even if you don't agree with them or you got to respect. I was growing up. If you ain't got something to say that's not nice, and don't say it at all. Right. Treat people with dignity and respect. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect. Now, don't get me wrong. You treat me rudely, two things are going to happen. I'm going to walk away and ignore you, or I'm going to buck up and fight. But, I mean, that's how I'm also. But people aren't like that now. They hold that in. I'm going to offend it because John said he didn't like my shoes. Who cares? Let it go. People can't let things go either. That's another problem. They have to stand up and do something about it.
Being offended is your problem. Right?
Yes.
If you take offense, then you just took that offense.
Yeah.
All I did was put it out there. You're the one that didn't help.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think that also, if you remember, we used to be responsible, like, the whole take a village thing was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That if you did the wrong thing, somebody else would, like, not even your parent would beat your ass.
There was more unity in community. And that's what I love about, I mean, I'm still fairly grounded in the community, which is great. But I know a lot of people out there in my chats and other ones, I get the sense a lot of times from things they say and whatever, that they're just not based in reality. They're not out. They're not participating in civic activities in their communities or charitable activities in their community and out and talking to real people and stuff like that. I think with the dynamic we have on the internet, you get the whole social media keyboard warrior type. We've all seen the memes, right? And I do think there's some people out there, and I don't know that that's healthy. And so I advocate for people, get out there. I mean, we need, especially when you're talking youth shooting sports, we need good, level-headed, knowledgeable and caring people to, go and help out and volunteer with various organizations, be it, youth shooting sports organizations to veterans organizations. I had a conversation actually today that will pop up on a podcast eventually with Terrace Alliance and Wheelchairs for Warriors, and amazing people. And they need volunteers. They need people to get out in real life and help. The fact that you're following here, you're listening to all of us talking heads on this panel and everything else, that's awesome. But the real change happens on the ground. It happens on the ground in your neighborhood, in your city, in your county.
Charity begins at home. My dad used to say
absolutely.
that all the time. Charity begins at home. We need to remember how we deal with each other in public. I think that is a big part of what's going on. And what I mean by that is, and I'm sure people out here can relate to this, but it's weird for me because it wasn't always like this. In society, anywhere, wherever you live, I live in Gainesville, you guys live in different places. Are you rolling around out there and you see grown-ass people, not even little kids? That's one thing, and it's bad in and of itself. But I see grown-ass people and I say, hey, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? And they just look at me like if I've got two heads on. They don't even answer. If we're living in a world where two grown-ass people see each other and one of them says, hey, how are you? And the other person they can't open their mouth and say words. That's our problem. You don't have to look far to figure out what's wrong with us. That's the problem. Like you said, dehumanizing. If you cannot talk to another human being, if you're like, wait a second, did this black guy just talk to me? Did this white guy just talk to me? Did this, like, whatever it is that's messing with you in your head, that you can't realize that another human being just acknowledge your existence, that is what the problem is.
And
it starts right there.
And I understand, and a lot of times you can tell. I haven't had that. I live in Texas. I don't have. We all know each other, right? There's usually not a problem.
Literally.
But yeah, right. Sometimes
you're all sisters.
Yeah,
you got that carnal knowledge going on.
That's Arkansas, man. Come on, don't confuse Arkansas with Texas.
Hey, I live in Florida, man. We know better. Trust me.
But there's people out there telling me that they see that. I'm telling you, I see it all the time. It's crazy.
Sometimes you get that, and I'm real big for, if I'm in front of somebody, I'm real big for opening the door for them. I mean, it could be another man, right? But I'm there. I've got to open the door, let him go on in.
How do you do that, CloverTac?
I don't know. I was raised that way. I don't.
You were raised that way. Who taught you that?
I don't necessarily know who taught me that. Father and grandfather were always the type that held the door open for people.
Yeah.
So, if there's somebody, and I will awkwardly wait to do it a lot of times. There'll be somebody that's literally 15, 20 steps away. I could be in the store and gone. And I literally slowly open the door and wait for them a lot of times. Sometimes it's a disease to do that. But my point is, a lot of times sometimes they'll say thank you and or how you doing, or I'll ask them how they're doing or something like that. And you do have certain people that are shy, right? They're socially awkward and shy.
Yeah, but they'll smile at you.
But even with those, that's what I was fixing to say. There's some type of response. There's a smile or a head nod or something, and you're like, okay, they're not comfortable. Right. Stranger, I get it. But yeah, if they just completely just walk in, ignore you, don't say nothing, that's annoying.
Like I said, I get it that there's a few broken people out there. I don't think it's just shy. I understand shy. Like my kids are shy, okay, but they don't treat people like that because it's not acceptable to me. But I know that there are people who are. There's some people that are like that. I'm telling you that I'm seeing it more and more as I get older. And it never used to be like that. We used to have to talk to each other and deal with each other. You had to acknowledge that person exists and that they're a human being. And I think if you're wondering what's going away, what's disappearing, that's the thing. For whatever reason it is, because maybe it's because of the technology or whatever, but the technology is not going anywhere.
It starts at the home.
Mm-hmm.
Starts at the home. Yeah. Want to teach these kids how to be better, then make them better.
Yeah, I don't let my kids. I don't let my kids get away with it. Say that
Sorry,
again.
your kid ain't listening to what you're saying. He's looking at what you're doing.
Mhm.
Sorry, son. Don't be rude to that lady. That was rude. And then you turn around and do the same thing. It starts at home. My grandfather taught me everything. I was mechanically inclined. I was electrically inclined. I learned all this stuff, not because I'm smart, because my grandfather said, son, we're going to take that Massey Ferguson tractor all the way apart, and we're going to put it back together, and we're going to build it. Okay. And we did it together. He took the time, and he had actually helped me out and educated me. He took the time. We don't have time. Most people don't have time. Why? Because they're in a rat race. Oh, I'm sorry, son. I can't talk with you right now because I'm on Instagram or Facebook. I'm texting. Sorry. Or I'm cheating on your mom, but I don't want you to know because I'm out with my new girlfriend. Whatever the case may be. Your priority in life is your children. And if you're not teaching them, who's teaching them? The TV's teaching them, the electronic babysitter. Because that's exactly, they're going to fall on one or the other.
And some people are in a rat race because they have to be. I get that. But the vast majority of people are in a rat race because they choose to be.
I'm in a rat race. I work my ass off. I work 7 days a week, 12 hours. I still come home every night, put my son to bed, talk with him, ask him how his day went. I still put forth the effort. Every morning he wakes up, I ask him, we go over the rules that he has to follow, you know, like listening to mommy, doing good in school, all those things. When I go and do stuff, he's with me. I go, son, we're going to go flying today. He goes flying with me. That kid's been in helicopters and airplanes. He goes with me and shoots. He does everything. Why? Because he ain't going to listen to me. He's going to watch me. He likes to fish. Why does he like to fish? Because my wife and I took him fishing. We teach him how to fish, and he loves it. But most parents don't do that. My friend, they sit their kids right in front of the TV, and then he does whatever he wants, and his kids are staring at the TV, getting educated by the TV. And we know that that's not realistic because that's not how reality is. So,
well,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, CloverTac. I apologize.
The whole TV. No, you're fine. The whole TV thing, put them down in front of the TV, depends on what you put them down in front of too.
Yeah.
You put a little kid down in front of Sesame Street, you know, and especially if you're talking older episodes. I don't watch anything current really, or haven't really seen anything, so I don't know if
it's bad.
I don't know if the agenda's better than that, but it used to not be that bad. But there are shows that are actually nurturing to the young mind, right? And then there's like SpongeBob SquarePants, for example, complete garbage. But you know,
well, yeah, but the parent
my
didn't
youngest
take time to find out.
my youngest one would watch Blue's Clues, and I mean, there's colors and words and
but you watch the show
processing and things. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're watching it
with them. Sure.
Whatever my kid's watching, I'm watching it, and those shows suck.
Well, I think you should always look for the opportunities to talk to your children. And if you talk to them, then they'll know how to talk to people. But I'm telling you, that's a massive thing. Look, I'll give you an example. I was in a gun range here in Gainesville, okay, talking to the people running the place. And uniformed police officers came in there. Now, these were younger guys. I think there's a difference with older guys. These are younger guys in uniform and all that kind of stuff in there. And I turned around and I was like, hey, guys, what's up? They haven't answered me to this day. That's a problem. When people are wondering like, oh, how come there's a problem in the community? If you're a police officer, you're on a range, you walk into the store of the range and you're in there, you know, and there's people in there.
The police officers have a negative connotation sometimes of us.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to
see us shoot.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that this is the thing, right? If these things should not be this way. Anyone who is reasonably accepting of other human beings, if someone actually says words to you, you acknowledge the fact that they said words to you. So, by the way, Real Cujo gave us $19.99.
Thanks, Cujo.
He says, great show tonight. Real talk about what's important and why our country is falling apart.
Did we get two for that price? $19.99. So
yeah, exactly. Well, he got three. He got three for the price. Three for the price of one. And I think I'm not trying to come down on those guys. I'm just telling you that that's a thing right there. Like you're not going to be effective in a community if you're a police officer and you can't talk to people unless you're arresting them. You know, you're not going to be effective doing anything. Like we're saying, we're not going to be effective unless we can sit down in front of someone who is anti-gun and be able to have a conversation with them where we don't insult them. Mm-hmm. Okay. We have to be able to do that. It happens to me all the time. Even when I go to the barbershop, right? the movies about black barbershops are real? It's probably the same
Yes,
thing.
they are. I love black barbershops. I love black barbershops. I would, back in the days when I could afford to actually go to a barbershop, I sought out good black barbershops because there's no more. It's all beauty shops for men nowadays, for white dudes anyway.
No,
It's all
no,
beauty
no,
shops.
not where
You
I
can't
live.
get-
No, we
know.
have a real men for barbershop where I live.
It's
Yeah.
horrible. It's horrible
It's
around
only
here.
for
That
men.
you've got to go to a black barbershop
Your
around
heads
here.
on the wall.
Yeah, I think those were based on like the old traditional barbershops. You could go there and you could talk about politics and everything, but you got to be respectful to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
thing.
We can't
Right.
be respectful. That's the problem. My liberal friend, he shoots. He got into shooting because of me. And one day he's out there and he goes, I heard these guys talking about Trump. I'm going to set them straight. I go, well, all you're going to do is create problems. What's the point? You can go discuss with them and see, what their point of view is and just say, I don't agree with you. But he has to set them straight and he's going to put them right. And I'm like, what's the point? Who cares? Just talk with them.
Yeah, I think that's dogma doing that to him. And that's something I don't believe. I don't believe in being dogmatic. I don't know whether he was he was pro or anti, but this is the thing. Why you should be able to listen. If someone wants to give you their opinion on something, you should be able to listen to that and go, okay, I hear what you're saying. I see that a little. Yeah, I see that a little bit differently. You should be able to present your argument. And at the end of the day, you need to accept that this person, you don't need to convert anyone.
You know why my
like
son,
jihadists? Do we have to
son
convert everyone? Huh?
You see how DJ is? He talks to anybody and he'll talk to everybody. Why? Because I talk to him like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk, he sees me talk. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care. I'll talk to you. I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the same way. And he'll talk to anybody. He'll converse with anybody. I mean, as much as a 5-year-old kid can, of course. But I remember watching him one time. We were at the Learn the Science Center, and he sees this. It's like 10 or 12-year-old girl. And he goes, "Hey, how you doing today?" She goes, "I'm doing fine." He goes, "What's your name?" I'm like, "You little pimp." And he's just carrying a conversation on with her about the dinosaurs on the 3rd floor. And she almost didn't even know how to talk to him, to be honest with you. And he was 4.5 at the time.
Well, it's leading by example,
Well, yeah, exactly. But we talk to him like a human being too. Like I talk to him like an adult. I don't talk to him like a kid. I talk to him adult. I use adult words and I talk to him. Now, if he don't understand something, I can tell by his face and I talk to him like, whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
But it's called education. You need to educate your kids.
But
or
I think
somebody else will. Somebody else will, I promise you. They'll learn from somebody.
Yeah, I think we just need to talk to each other. I know that I do it all the time. Some people don't. Some people probably think I'm crazy, but I do it all the time because I think there's always an angle. So, for example, when we come across, I don't know how you guys deal with it, but I come across people that are anti-gun all the time. But if you actually talk to them, you find out they have guns.
Yes.
Like a lot of people.
But they never shoot them.
No, they may shoot them or whatever. But they're like. So I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, we need some kind of laws about guns." And I was like, "And this guy had guns. We already established that he had guns because someone introduced me to him, saying, 'Oh, this guy over here is on YouTube. He's Hank Strange. He does gun stuff. You're interested in that.' So he was interested in guns. And then he's telling me that we need some laws. And I was like, you actually need more laws than what you already have?" And he wasn't aware of the laws that exist. So this is the thing. Like, you have to figure out where people are coming from with their point of view. Like, why do they feel that? And a lot of people feel this way because what happens, right? They're looking at the media, and the media is like, this is the problem. We need more common sense laws. We need more laws. There's not enough laws. People could just do whatever they want to do. And I'm like, even that argument is something that you can talk to. I've come across people who said to me, "Yeah, we need to close the gun show loopholes and all that." I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I've heard that. My friend from New York called me, asked me what a good solution to the gun show loopholes were. I mean private sales.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, people don't understand that and here's what I do. I would say to that person, so like here in the state of Florida, you're saying that if your neighbor or the barber right here, you know him, you have a gun, he wants to buy the gun from you, you're saying that you want to have to go to a gun store and pay a fee and have a background check to sell this gun to someone that you know.
Like North Vegas.
Yeah, like, you want to do that, and he said, like, no, why would I have to do that? I'm like,
because that's what you're voting for.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
So that is, and they know that people aren't going to go for that. So that's why they changed the language from "we need to get rid of private sales" to "we need to close the gun show loophole."
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's easy for them to remember in their brain and just be programmed by that. And then our job is to unprogram people. But you don't unprogram someone by punching them in the face.
Nope.
You know,
because they don't understand. So we're over here and we're harping about, it's kind of like the discussion that you and Trae just had. We're talking about personal sales, right? Individual sales is what we're talking about in the capacity of the gun show loophole. But then when we enter into a conversation with somebody that does not know better, right? They're not a part of the community. They don't follow the language. They don't anything else. And they hear us talking about individual sales. They don't associate that with the gun hole loophole unless we point it out to them and say, look, this is what, when they tell you gun show loophole, this is what they're telling you. This is what that means. And then they're like, whoa, okay, wait a minute. That's different than,
but that's not how we say it.
I don't want that to happen. And I'm like, no kidding, you don't want that to happen.
But that's not how it's said. That's not how we talk to them. And we know that. We know better. The same as the gun range stuff. We do not talk to them. You're an idiot, or you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Well,
but
educate them.
Part of the whole gun show loophole thing too is buying across state lines. That's already illegal. So,
yeah.
Why do you need one law to cover another law? We don't need 4 laws for the same thing.
Yeah, the last time I was talking to someone here in Florida about this, they didn't even realize Florida put a whole bunch of new laws in effect. They didn't know. And this was a gun guy. He had guns. He had a CCW. Yeah. And I was like, are you aware that Florida has these rules? And he was like, well, what are these? And then when I explained it to him, he's like, what are you talking about? Why does that exist?
The NRA has an email list for all those gun rule changes per state, per your area. I do have to admit, that's one of the good things. I know y'all not really excited about the NRA, but I do like that.
But when all of this was going down, they didn't do anything about it to
I'm not
to get the word out.
Disagreeing with you on that. I'm just saying I do get emails. Maybe it could be something else we could do like that.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, they own those emails. This is what we were talking about in the beginning. If we had access to those emails and we could go, hey, you 5 million guys, or however many hundreds, 10, 20,000 people in Florida, do something about this, then that would be effective. But if they are the ones that negotiate these things to go into effect in the first place, and then they stay silent on it, and we're dependent on them to do something about it, this is what happens.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, we have to establish those ways of getting out there and doing it. And by the way, like when I run into people like that, that's the reason why I started this whole thing. Because now that's like, my barber uses me for that all the time, that he tells these guys. My barber, by the way, has a CCW, has guns, all of that. When I met him, was not doing that. And then he tells people, yeah, this guy's a gun guy. And he's a black barber, black community. And he's telling those people, yeah, we definitely should not give up our guns. And the other day, actually, the last time I was in the barbershop, it was a bunch of black businessmen that are all gun guys in there, including me. It wasn't just me. And I was thinking to myself, this is awesome. Right? Because there's people who are starting to realize that, yeah, there's no way that we should give up guns. We should pay attention to what's going on out there, but it's not everyone. Most people are asleep, and our job kind of is like to wake them up. But if you guys know this, right? Especially you're married, does your significant other like you shaking them up and kicking them out of the bed? Or do they do they want to be woken up gently? Now I know that the danger you run into there is if you wait until the house is on fire and burning down, you're going to have to kick them out of the bed, right?
I just club her in the head and pull her by her hair.
There you go. Just open the window, get on the opposite side of the mattress, and just flip. Way to do it.
That's what the fish tank's for. I just throw fish at her.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, obviously, none of us want to wind up in that position where we have to scream and shout. I think I've been trying to do it. I think you guys have been trying to do it. Everyone's been trying to do it. But at some point here, we've got to get people to actually, wake up. By the way, the Club E said thank you, Trae. I can see the Club E saying thank you to. I don't know if that's to you or.
Oh, I didn't see it. Where's it at?
Yeah. Is there someone in there that says thanks, babe?
Oh yeah, that's Julie. Sorry, that's me.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's who you're gonna club in the head and drag.
Yes,
drag
she
out
gave
of
me
it.
the stank. I get the stank look.
Yeah. I think though that I don't know, man. I'm not. How much time do you guys think that we have? If you're talking about time, are we in panic mode or do we have time? What do you guys think about that? Is this a desperate situation right now, or?
I don't think so. I think we've got, this next election cycle is going to be interesting. So I think we're, like I go back to the top of the show I talked about. I think there's going to be an awful lot of gridlock on an awful lot of issues, and I think that don't get me wrong, it's going to be a circus, and it's going to freak people out, and it's going to rile people up, and it's I don't think it's going to be pretty the next 2 years in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But ultimately, what gets done, I don't see a lot happening.
Okay. I want gridlock on certain things, but there's other things that I don't want because we've put things into effect and we have to figure out how to backtrack those things.
But to go back to that just for a second, I've heard a lot of talk about HB 38, which is National Reciprocity and Hearing Protection Act, and people calling for, they need to do that. They need to do that. And I'm going to tell you what, if I was heading up the Republicans or if I had any say in it, I would cram it down their throat right now while I had the chance. Both of
them. Okay. I think if they wanted to, they would have, but I don't really think I don't think Republicans want that.
And my months and months and months ago, I talked to both of my senators, and this was on a face-to-face basis. Talked to both of my senators and my congressmen, and all of them basically told me the same thing, that neither one of those pieces of legislation were going to get passed. There were not enough Republicans that were going to be on board. They're scared of it from an election standpoint, a re-election standpoint, and that it's not going to happen. It passed the House, but there's no way it would ever go through the Senate, which is crazy because it had more of a chance, you would think, in the Senate, right?
Yeah, but I think that we don't know who we're dealing with these politicians that are out there. We know more about the Democrats and liberals than we do about the ones that we voted for on our side, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's just the reality of it. Trae, what do you think about all this? I'm going to start wrapping it up here in a second because we're approaching the 9 o'clock hours. So,
I mean, like everything, we have to fight for our freedom. It's not given to us. We got to earn it.
True.
So I'd always think that we are on constant jeopardy of losing everything. Do I think we're in an ultra bad spot? No, I don't think bad, but I do think it's an interesting time, especially when we're not sure what's going on in the presidency. We get banned on bump stocks, but everything else is good. No one really knows what the gun agenda is. You start seeing states kind of stepping in, and I think, like everything, hey, you know what? Somebody can send an email or make a phone call. If you want to be seclusive as a gun owner, you can send an email. I'm sorry, you don't have to be. You can set up a Gmail account, send it out, and delete the account, and that way you at least send something to your senator. Take the time to actually fight for your rights. It could be tomorrow. It could be 100 years from now. Honestly, like everything, you just never know.
Yeah,
we might have a mass running of liberals on us or something.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say before I get you guys to wrap up. I don't think we have a lot, but we have each other. So that's something we should try to hold on to. It's a good thing that you have someone. And what I mean by that is I know there's going to be those of us who are on this side and we're really super pro Second Amendment and all that. And we're diehard. We're going to get a little miserable. It's going to look a little tough. We just got to try to be there for each other and try to get through this without doing anything crazy or desperate. Let's just take care of each other right now. That's the thing that we need to do. When the time comes and we have to stand up and be counted or fight or whatever it is that we have to do, you're going to need someone next to you to do that. Otherwise, I don't care how badass you are, you're not going to be able to fight for a long time. You're going to need someone to stand next to you. So just try to take care of each other right now and prepare for whatever's coming. That's how I would look at it. I'm going to wrap this up. Trae, what do you want the folks out there to do? What do you want them to know about?
Aries Firearms Training, Leesburg, Florida. And Instagram and Facebook, of course. I don't do Twitter because I don't follow it. About the only person I follow is James Woods. 352-321-8102. I don't have a lot in the pipeline right now because the holidays, I try to keep it, low key during the holidays, just regular shooting to be a little courteous of our neighbors during that time of joy with your family. But at the beginning of next year, I have some things coming up, and I think you guys make some valid points. Maybe we should do something that brings together more of the community and we can all meet. But yeah, I think it was a good show tonight. And I always enjoy talking to CloverTac, even with his crappy internet connection.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Clover. What do you want to say to the folks out there, and what can they do to follow you?
Psycho's
hollering Gorn. So this is all I got sitting.
Oh, Gorn. Last minute Gorn.
There's your S&W 422. So
yeah. Okay. Get your last minute Gorn in.
Hopefully that makes him happy. As far as what I've going, the Firearm Friday, which used to be a live show, that will come back in a produced podcast form. I have been booking guests, recording episodes, so that will kick off this Friday. That's actually tomorrow, isn't it? Good Lord, it's Friday already. Multiple platforms is the way I'm going to release that. So if you listen on the podcast side, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you're going to get it early in the morning. YouTube, unfortunately, because I have a little bit of a bias against YouTube at this point, which I think is rationally founded. We'll get it last, but I think I'm probably going to do maybe an Instagram live, Instagram/GunTube Gun Channels live after the YouTube portion of that airs, and then we may talk about the podcast and the guest and what we talk about. Mondays, I'm doing what I call a echo.
Yeah, there's some kind of echo out there.
I don't know if that's me or
I don't know. Mice.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, go ahead. It's good now.
Yeah, that's good now. So yeah, the Monday, I'm still doing a Monday show, which is just kind of a one-on-one thing, and we're doing it. It will probably forever stay YouTube free from now on, but it's GunTube Gun Channels and Instagram is where we cast that. So hop in and hang on, and then we're across all sorts of other platforms. So you can go to CloverTac.com, and I've got a little social media rotating banner thing there, and you can find every place we're located, and we'll hang out on any of them. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to ask everyone that's watching right now, that's hanging in there with us, even though we're at the tail end of the show. There's over 100 people well in here right now. If you guys can just go support Clover on all those different social medias that he's on, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, even on YouTube, go out there, follow him and all that. He will be able to do go to Gunstreamer for sure.
Regardless, the Hank's over there too. There's a bunch.
Yeah. Please go out there, support this guy. He's got a limited ability right now because of them pulling the live. So in December, because in December, I don't know, you've talked to Lola. You're coming on in December sometime, right?
I haven't. Yeah, she hasn't said anything. But what I was going to say is it's not as limited. We didn't really get into that, but it's not as limited as you might think. I have found that out. I was kind of forced into a void and found out that honestly, YouTube is not all of that in a bag of chips, and it's not as detrimental as one might think it would have been.
Yeah, absolutely. Their power is waning for sure because of everything going on. But go follow this guy. We'll get him on in December. In December, every day that we're going to be on, we're going to be giving away stuff.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. If you get me on, I'll throw in a patch or I'll throw in something to that the night I'm on.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So that's it. We're going to be here tomorrow. I have no idea what's going on tomorrow, but it's probably going to be fun and lively just like this. Thanks to everyone out there for joining us, hanging out with us. Thanks to Trae from Aries Firearms Training in Leesburg for hanging with us. Thanks to CloverTac for hanging with us. I will see you guys tomorrow. I know Walter's going to be here. So, that should be fun. See you guys. We're out of here. Peace. Peace out.